created. The same thing goes with prayers. When everyone prays in unison, there's a great energy that's created. Like right now, everyone was praying in unison, and it creates a very powerful impact. And I say this because we all acknowledge the World Cup's right on, and it's great, you know, those vuvuzelas or whatever they're called, you know, and the Mexicans or the Spanish teams when they have their amazing chants and everyone's very inspired. The same thing applies to spirituality. When everyone's chanting Hanuman Chalisa together, or everyone's chanting Om Namah Shivaya together. When we were at the ashram, it's a Jagadishwara temple, so the temple has Lord Shiva there. And in a matter of 24 hours, 100,000 people would come to the temple. And all day, people would just come, and they would have darshan of the Lord for a matter of a few seconds. And they would bring coconuts and milk and offerings. And all of us brahmacharis got to be inside the sanctum sanctorum. And we would, the whole day, we would just break coconuts and offer it to the Shivlinga. Or cut the milk and offer it to the Shivlinga. And the energy that's created is unparalleled. It's unprecedented. Why, again, I'm saying this is that we should seek that same joy that we get from going to a grand concert or a grand sporting event. The same can be created, but with noble intentions, nobler intentions, more purity. We are all aspiring to have more purity of mind. And to do this, we learned about pujas. And we talked a lot about pujas and the philosophy of puja. Then we talked about japa as well, the various types of japa, how to do japa. Now our focus is on meditation. Something we all want to know about, something that's very popular right now, something we all have our own concepts of. Some may be right, some may be wrong. Now we will try to understand meditation, through what Ramana Maharshi has to teach. And first and foremost, what Ramana Maharshi says is japa, keep saying japa, meditation is the most purifying. Swami Chinmayananda says the same, that the highest vocation in life is meditation. Nothing that anyone can do is more subtle, purifying, concentrated than meditation. And so it needs to be taken seriously. We had studied in our last shloka that this meditation ideally should be unbroken. Because if it's broken, then that means we got caught up in the names and forms and we have to go back to the essence. Name, form, essence. Name, form, essence. But if the focus is on the essence the whole time, then it's much more powerful and liberating experience then. Now the question is, what do we meditate on? A very pertinent question, because a lot of people think, I just meditate. But do you know what you're meditating on? Do you know how to meditate? Do you know the process of meditate? Do you know what you're not supposed to do? It's a very powerful experience. Again, when we were studying at the ashram, a lot of impurities come out in a lot of different ways. The roommate to my right was from South Africa. The roommate to my left was from Kenya. We didn't stay in the same room, but our rooms were beside each other. And the roommate to the right, he was a young individual. He must have been 28, a few years older than I was. And we would skip every day, we would run every day, we would do push-ups every day to just stay active. And 6 months into that course, he got spondylitis and had to wear a neck brace for the rest of those 18 months. Another student started seeing things in his sleep. He would imagine that a girl would come into his room and sit on his chest, and he couldn't breathe while she was sitting on his chest. And so for a full week he tried to cope with it, but it didn't happen. So he started sleeping in another brahmachari's room, and that vision still didn't go away. Then he had to leave the course then. The same happens in meditation. Can happen in meditation. Those impurities that are very deep-seated, that are deep into our personalities, those come out when we engage in such a purifying action. I like to think of myself as a pretty easygoing person that can relate with most people. But at the Vedanta course, such impurities that I never imagined I would have, which are coming out like jealousy. Jealousy of people I was studying with. Another brahmachari I just could not get along with. And I was so shocked that, in this holy place, that this is happening. But it's not just sadhana, where you do sadhana. It's also shodhana, where shodhana means purification. That's what happens when one studies Vedanta so intensely. So we have to know how to meditate. It's an important subject, not just for our, spiritual growth, but therapeutically too. It can become a dangerous activity if done incorrectly. Shodhana means purification. And so, like I said, we've all heard of meditation in different ways, and we all have our own practices of meditation too. Let us hear what Ramana Maharishi has to say about meditation. He describes to us what we should be meditating upon. This is in verse 8, on whatever page you're on. Bheda bhavanat sohamityasau. Bheda bhavanat sohamityasau. Bhavanabhida pavanimata. Bhavanabhida pavanimata. Bheda bhavana somamityasau. Bhavanabhida pavanimata. And so what Ramana Maharishi says here is that when we meditate, without the difference, without duality, that is more purifying than meditating with duality, with difference. What does this mean? Whether we contemplate with duality or without duality, it is a very purifying sadhana or action. Now, if we meditate with duality, the meditator and the meditated, there's separation, there's difference there, there's duality, and what that essentially is doing is creating a relationship. As a gopi and Lord Krishna, as a bhakta and Lord Shiva, there is a sense of difference and a relationship is created where there is duality. That is a form of meditation. Now, when we meditate without that concept of duality, the meditator and the meditated are the same. When that gopi looks at Lord Krishna, it's the same essence. When that bhakta turns to Lord Shiva, it's that same essence. There is no relationship. I am the Lord am I. That is the essential difference between duality and non-duality. With duality, there's a relationship. Without duality, there is no relationship. How can there be a relationship if there's only one? Relationships can only exist where there's two, not where there is one. And this forms the basis of the many schools of thought in Vedanta. And we've heard of this before. Dvaita Vedanta, Vishishta Advaita Vedanta, Advaita Vedanta. So there's various schools of thought. And I'll explain what they are. Dvaita Vedanta. Dvaita means duality. Where I am separate and the Lord is separate. And the main proponent of Dvaita Vedanta, to my knowledge, is Madhavacharya. He is the main teacher or champion of Dvaita Vedanta. Again, I am separate, the Lord is separate, that separation remains forever. That is true, that is real. Then there's Vishishta Advaita Vedanta, Vishishta Dvaita Vedanta, which is that I am part and the Lord is whole. And the main teacher of that is Ramanujacharya. Again, I am a part, this is, the Lord is a whole. Like a drop of water in the ocean, a part-whole relationship. Then there is Advaita Vedanta, and that is based on Shankaracharya, Adi Shankaracharya. And that is, there is only one. There is one and one alone. So these schools of thoughts are based on the identification with the Lord, the relationship with the Lord. If me and the Lord are separate, I'm a Dvaiti. If I'm a part of the Lord, I'm a Vishishta Advaita. If I am the Lord, Then I'm an Advaita. So this is all based on identification. Now if we look at this scope, this spectrum, it's an evolution of thought.